Hello and welcome to my first episode of Transformation Education. As you can see in this before and after photo, my client had a split dye previously of half black and half red, and today she's wanting to transform to the before photo that you've seen just at the beginning, which was a red to orange kind of ombre. So this was the canvas that I was working with. You can see the split dye, and also she has some nice strawberry blonde roots. She has done two previous colour removers and removed as much colour as she could herself, and this was what was left after that. So I'm going to begin by taking this hair into the 4 sections, and what I'm going to do is just start applying bleach, 20 vol and Olaplex using my Teasy Balayage technique, and I'm going to start applying that just to her dark side first. So I'm beginning at the back and then I'll move to the side. Because this side was the one that had the black in it, I'm expecting this side to take a lot longer to lift. So you can see me start to, this is how I apply my Teasy Balayage technique. There is a video on that if you're interested in watching. I might just link it at the end of this video for you if you want a bit more detail on how I do this. I'm just feathering that product on there. Put a bit of a tease in there before I start. I like to use my hands first to make sure that I'm thoroughly saturating the hair, and then I'll put it on the foil, and that's why I'm wearing my gloves, you might notice. So the key here is to just be really thorough. So first I try and saturate it with my hands, then I go back in once it's on the foil, and then I saturate it even more, swiping from side to side, just really making sure that I get every piece of hair. And you will need a towel handy if you're going to use this technique, because otherwise things are going to get very messy. So you'll notice my hands move in between every section because I'm wiping my hands on a towel. I get very enthusiastic sometimes when I'm having conversations with my clients. You might see me start talking with my hands. I'm sorry. I do tend to take wider sections when I'm using this technique. Probably depending on the client's hair. She didn't have very thick hair, so they are a little on the wider side. I'd say about ½ inch. First you want to get that nice tease in there, and this is just going to help diffuse that line when you're doing a nice balayage. It's me talking with my hands again, wow. Everyone does their balayage differently, and I find myself, I tend to stroke upwards with my brush when I do that. You can go down, up, whatever works for you. It's just a personal preference of mine. So I'll get that blend in there nice first. Then once I'm happy with the blend, I put my hand underneath and I just thoroughly saturate that piece of hair, and then put it on the foil, and then I'm going to go back in and saturate it even more. Saturation is key if you want a nice even lift. I'm not sure how even my lift is going to be at this point, especially because she has had quite a lot of dye on her hair before. But I want to give it the best chance. I did mention earlier I've started off using bleach, 20 vol and Olaplex. That is what I'm using to apply to her hair in the bleach. For the other side, when I get to it, which I don't show you in this video, just because I didn't want you to be here all day with me, I actually just bump it down a little bit, and I use only 10 vol on the other side because her hair was already quite a bit lighter, just to kind of help even out that processing. Now I'm just going to speed this up a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing, and then we will get to the front and I'll explain how I do that as well. I just thought I'd zoom this in a little bit for you just so that you can get a better look of what I'm doing. It's always a little bit difficult when you're trying to video record yourself, but I hope that this is enough for you. Please let me know if there's anything I could improve on in the comment section below. I love feedback. But hopefully that's a bit better for you. Something I think I forgot to mention a little earlier was when I take my sections, I do like to have them on a slight angle. You can't really see that there is much of an angle in this video, but I guarantee you wouldn't have been horizontal, like completely horizontal. There'll always be a little bit of an angle in my sections, and you can see that a bit better in the sides here. See how I'm angling those sections so that they're not dead straight flat? And I just find by doing that I get a better blend, especially when I get to the top. When I get to around the temple area, I'll really start that angle, just having it at a bit more of a severe angle, as you can see here. And then once I'm finished, I'll show you the placement of the foils so you can get an idea of how it all sits and how it looks when it's finished. This was the whole head completed. Once I finished putting the foils in, I do check them as I go just to make sure that everything's fine and the hair is still handling it well. When I finished the whole thing, it had taken me about 2 hours to put that in. So the dark side had already been sitting in the hair for 2 hours. So what I'm doing now is just going back in, checking the dark side, which was the first side that I put on, and I'm just reapplying a bit of bleach, and I quite often will reapply because as you can see when I open up the foils, sometimes there's still a little bit of unevenness. Even though I've been super thorough, as it lightens, if there's a bit that I've missed, I'm going to see that. So I'm just reapplying my 20 vol now, making sure that everything is 100% thoroughly saturated. It is a bit more time consuming, but the results are definitely worth it. And you don't want to miss something and not check it, and then it's too bad, so sad. So once I go through and reapply all of the dark ones, then I'm going to put on the base color of her roots, and this is just going to help blend in her natural regrowth and just create that dark on the top for me. It's feeling good. Still attached. All jokes aside, it is very serious that you quite often check. I have had instances where I've checked and then 10 minutes later I've checked again and the hair has completely changed. So don't forget to continuously check when you're doing anything big like this, because things can go wrong very quickly. Now what you can see me doing here is going through the foils. It's a very messy, time-consuming job, and I'm applying her base color. I'm trying to just kind of get that color a little bit underneath the lip of those foils as well, because I want it to blend. So I'm doing the best that I can. I have got a tease in there, which makes it a little bit challenging as well. But the only alternative is if you don't do it this way, then you are then going to have to go and do another color service once you've washed the foils out. And it just becomes a lot more time consuming. So if you can do it this way, you will save yourself a bit of time. And now what I'm doing here is that color has processed for 20 minutes, and I'm pulling the foils out now because they're ready. And you'll notice just with my pinky, I'm just kind of blending that dark just a little bit if there's any parts of it that I can see that look a bit patchy. But before I put these base colours on, I'll always make sure that my blonde is kind of nearly ready, because you don't want to be doing this and then putting the base colour on and then the base colour's got to come off but the blonde isn't ready, you know what I mean? So it's quite time consuming, and things do process at different rates. So satisfying to watch foils being pulled out. So once they were all ready, I took her back to the basin and I washed, I shampooed, conditioned her hair, and now I'm drying it off before I start my Vivid application. I always like to apply Vivids to 100% dry hair for the best results, especially when I'm doing blending and colour melting. But you can see now I've got the perfect canvas. I've got the roots in, the hair is lightened, and that is the perfect canvas for Vivids. 80% of the work is just prepping the hair. This is my red, and I'm just starting that at the top. And I really focus on the blending. You'll notice I do most of my blending with a red, and then I'll just do a really small amount with the orange, because I've already put my blending in there with the red. I'm using the mesh sheets just to separate my sections, and as I move up I'll stagger my red. Some of them I'll do further down, some of them I'll do higher up. You want to just work on creating something that isn't going to look too organized. Some will be higher, some will be lower, and all that's going to help your blend. I think the key here with colour melting for me, with any colour melting I do, is to actually overlap the colours. So I'm creating the blend already with a red, I'm making sure that that is blended, and then all I need to do with my orange is just go over the top, because I've already put the blend in the hair. And I will quite often approach this in the same way as I've done my foils. I'll start at the back, I'll have a slight angle, and that just helps me with the blending. You can see how thorough I'm being. This is very fast forwarded, but you can imagine I did spend a fair amount of time making sure that that blend was in there before I applied the orange. I do go over the roots too, maybe not put it directly on the scalp, but I will go over the roots even though they're dark. I do find that doing that is still going to help me, just help it blend. I'll use my comb if I need to, but usually if your sections are fine enough, you won't really need to use a comb. Once the blend is in, the orange is on. One more thing you might notice if you haven't already is that I am wiping my hands in between every section so that I'm not cross-contaminating my colours. Very important to always keep a towel handy. And then when I come around to my side section, I'm going to go up on an angle just the same way that I applied the foils. Once I finished applying this colour, I let it process for about 20 minutes, the longer the better. And then I rinsed her out in cool water just to help prevent the colours from bleeding too much and keep the cuticles shut. There's our process picture. And once I was finished, I came back and gave it a curl with my Mint Tools curling iron. If you would like to see a tutorial on that, I do have one on my YouTube channel as well, just have a look. And also, like I said, with my Teasy balayage technique, there is a more in-depth tutorial on how to do that on my channel if you like. Thank you so much for watching my first episode of Transformation Education. Please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more like these. Enjoy the final results, and thanks again. Bye bye for now.